Thank you. All right, everybody listening out there on the broadcast, welcome to the last draw of the U21 Royal Slam. This will be the last round-robin draw of play. At the conclusion of this round, the teams will then be seeded and put into a final championship game. As you can see out there on the ice, we seem to have a little bit of condensation that has been dripping from the ceiling, causing a little bit of difficulties on our feature sheet, sheet 4. But as we can see, the ice maker's done everything he can to manage it and try to eliminate that as a potential influence on the outcome of this game. And it looks like Team Mitchell is going to start this game off with hammer. They made a really nice draw to the button, right on the pin. And I believe the Team Dobson stone finished up back 4 foot. And it looks like this stone is going to slip into the rings. Top 8 foot, top 4. And it looks like Scott is asking Colin for the nose hit here.
And as the common theme throughout the weekend, seems like we are playing a relatively clean first end. Good hit and roll by Colin. Nice hit and stick by Owen. Just to introduce the games across all 6 sheets, we have Team Ingalls playing Team Newpage on sheet 1. We have Team Goves playing Team Massey on sheet 2. We have Team Husavar versus Team Malima on sheet 5, and Team Prenovost versus Team Bryant on sheet 6. And I was just checking to see if there's any important scoreboard games to see what kind of... So big game on sheet 1 as Team Ingalls is 3-1 and Team Newpage is 4-0. Team Ingalls wins, so depending on how Team Husavar's game ends up, could predict who's in the A final. And there's a lot of teams at 2-2, including Goves, Malima, and Mitchell. That could decide who will be in the B event, who will be in the C event. And there is the bottom 4 teams are 1 and 3, so it'll be a fight to see who gets into that D and E event.
Yeah, I think the teams we see in 8th, 9th, and 10th place, them being in that order, Bryant, Massey, and Dobson, due to their last draw shootout score, a combination of those 3 teams will most likely be in our E event. But there's a lot on the line here for our featured sheet, especially given Team Mitchell's shootout score. It seems to be a little bit larger
of the 2 and 2 teams.
Yes, so an important game for Team Mitchell here to try to pull out that win and confirm themselves into that C event.
Sheet 5 is a big game with Malima versus Husavar. Winner most likely will go to that B event, B or C event, depending on what happens on sheet 1. So lots of equations out there, lots of things to think about going into this draw.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions that are going to be asked, and hopefully we can manufacture some answers for you viewers at home.
So a stuffed peel by Team Mitchell does create a guard where probably wasn't the plan in the first end. But for Scott, calling Landon to make the hit and roll to the open side. The problem with hitting and rolling under the guard is that it's only going to be maybe biting top 12. It's almost like it's just another guard, and that's why he wants to roll bigger. we know that this side, runs straighter. Big weight. That's exactly what happened. Makes the hit and roll for Team Dobson. Let's draw behind the center guard. And I've had the pleasure of broadcasting almost every single draw. And I know that that is probably a little bit too much ice because it does run straighter on the board side of the sheet. And Team Dobson will learn after throwing the rock. I could be wrong. We've only seen 1 or 2 rocks on this side of the sheet curl that much. So we'll see. Nice draw there. It's about 3/4 buried. I like the peel too. Scott changing. Scott realizing that that side of the sheet is having a hard time moving with bigger weight, playing the safe shot, making the peel. He realizes that if Team Dobson makes the draw, he's going to get forced, but it will be an open hit. Where if he mixes the hack waiter the wrong way, and Team Dobson wraps around another shot, he's going to have to draw a pin in the first end, and no skip really wants to do that. So good call here by Scott. For Jacob, a little more aggressive call, but he realizes he just threw the draw, takes 10 feet off of it, makes the guard, puts pressure on Scott to have to make a run back or a draw to the pin for 1 against 1. So a nice guard by Team Dobson, putting the pressure on Scott. And I like this call. It's the first end. Giving up a steal one is not the end of the world, but making this run back and for the blank is obviously a good confidence booster. Just over curls. Be a steal one for Team Dobson. Team Mitchell keeping hammer. Team Mitchell deciding that that top 12 rock isn't much of a danger stone, so they decide to throw the corner guard, which I like. Looks like it just slides into the rings. I think Team Dobson came with a game plan. I think they realized that playing with rocks in play, getting good angles, making good freezes, making good guards is going to help them win this game. Being a little more aggressive, which we haven't seen a lot in the men's side of the draw, so it's good to see. Sweepers were really heads up play. They realized the rock was sliding into the ring, so they made it buried behind their top 12 stone. And Team Mitchell making the hit roll, maybe double on that roll. Put that in an interesting spot, because if you play the double, you might jam on the yellow stone, so Team Dobson has to play the hit roll.
right. Team Dobson trying to split the house. Seems to have just stopped in time. I like this call here by Scott, pardon me, trying to get the hit and roll off of that top 12-foot stone, roll over in front of that back 8-foot Dobson stone, try to force an error from their opposition. Seems to have moved a little bit on them and still got the nose hit. Seems to be really moving for them here. Nose hit, sits in the ring. Team Dobson sitting 2. Scott calling for the same shot from Landon, trying to hit and roll over there. A little bit of an overroll there, but it forces Team Dobson to make a hit in a different path, or it looks like they're going to make a move on that. Might just be biting Team Mitchell Stone, the top of the house. I think one thing Team Dobson should keep in mind when calling this shot is it's making it a little bit more difficult on themselves, because you need the roll here, and if you don't get the roll, you open up an opportunity for a 2-point score for Team Mitchell. Looks like a nose hit, and that's outside of the rings. Scott's gesturing for a nose hit. Nose hit. Nice shot. And now Team Dobson is looking at that red double, or even just a hit and flop on top of it. And I think in terms of strategy, if I'm Team Dobson and I'm listening to this recording later, maybe hitting that one out in the wing on the 12-foot would have been a better play, a higher degree of a higher probability of making it, because you don't need a roll like they did on the shot they called previously. Big shot here from Jacob, trying to bail the team out of a bit of trouble. The hit and roll. Nose hit from Team Dobson, and you're going to see a land-in signal to split the rings. And for the young teams out there, as you can see Scott gesturing, it's important that this rock that you place to split the rings doesn't leave an easy double. Because all of a sudden, if it slips into a spot where it may be a half rock natural double with a normal weight, your deuce could be taken away from you. So the position of this stone is really important to try to limit the opportunity for a double. Big sweep to bring this into the house. Colin and Nathan doing everything they can on this stone to bring it in. Yeah, and on our overhead cam it's not as easy to see, but it does look like it's too red. So that's a sweeper shot. Nathan and Colin did everything they could to drag that rock as far as they can, and it was dragged to a position where it's really difficult for Jacob to make any sort of play for a double. So I think they're taking their medicine, trying to get a nose hit here, and maybe hope for a rollout from Team Mitchell, but it's looking like Team Mitchell sitting in a good spot for 2 points here. So we've seen stones that get close to that line, it holds and then starts to move. Not a bad play there from Team Dobson. I mean, priority was to remove the stone, but at the same time, I think as the teams feel more comfortable with the ice, you might start to see a little bit more of a controlled weight. I mean, given where that stone was, we are having a little bit of ice issues, so maybe Team Dobson thinking throwing a high hard one there, maybe eliminate that potential difficulty in the ice. So, draw for 2. Nice draw by Scott. The sweepers really made that first shot for them, so maybe he was giving them a little bit of a rest on that second one. But really nice 2-point score for Team Mitchell. Great sweep by Nathan and Landon to get that rock over the hog line. About a zone 1.5-2 guard, and it looks like Jacob is asking Matt to make a come around top 8 foot, biting top 4 foot. They're going to be throwing that out turn. And I think the one thing that we've been harping on a lot for this sheet is the difference between sides heading towards the scoreboard. What we see as the left-hand side seems to run a little bit straighter, whereas this other side that Jacob signaled for a draw, it seems to be getting a little bit more movement. So we see it's finishing in there nice for Team Dobson. Having Owen on it to try to really move it over there for them. Nice shot. Stone's about half to 2/3 open for Team Mitchell. Looks like Scott's asking Nathan for Colin for a board weight hit here. Asked for a hit here. Remove that rock, and nice sweep by Scott to get that rock out of the scoring area. It looks like Scott is asking Nathan to make that top 8, top 4 foot come around behind that center guard they threw. Seems to be running a little hot for Team Mitchell, but ends back for mostly open. control weight here, asked of Owen to make that hit. Big sweep to hold the line here. Scott's asking Nathan to remove that back 12-foot stone and sit there. Interesting to see Team Mitchell choosing to throw what we've seen to be the little bit curlier of turns. Nice shot to make a little hit and roll. Even though it's mostly open, it's never a bad idea to have your opposition throwing in a different path than you to see how it moves there. Another nose hit here, asked of Owen. And with that little bit of a roll, they've also forced Team Dobson to the other side, which runs a little bit different, a little bit straighter. Seemed to maybe get fooled there by that. Like Elias was asked to try to remove this mostly buried stone of Team Mitchell's. A nice hit weight there. Nice board to control weight hit. And it looks like Scott is going to be asking Landon to do the same thing. Maybe even try to drop the weight a little bit, get a little bit more curl and flop under that center line guard. And for our viewers with interest outside of our featured sheet, on sheet 1 we have Team Knee Page leading Team Ingalls 7-0. Playing the third end. Team Ingalls has hammer. On sheet 3, we have Team Goves leading Team Massey 1-0. Team Massey has hammer playing the third end. On sheet 5, we have Team Malima leading Team Hocevar 1-0, with Team Hocevar having hammer in the third end. And on sheet 6, we have a 2-0 lead for Team Bryant over Team Prenovo. Team Prenovo having hammer in the third. to our feature sheet, it looks like Elias has an opportunity to try to split the house here. Like similar to Team Mitchell in the last end, it's important that where this stone ends up, there's no double. And it looks like it just isn't even, which could leave an opportunity for Scott to throw a double on those two stones. Big shot here for Team Mitchell. Try to make this double takeout and take away Team Dobson's potential for a two-ender here. Seems to be close. Ooh. Just needed a little bit more curl there. Really nice attempt, but unfortunately it pushes the Team Dobson stone behind that center guard, but it looks like Jacob is just calling to split the rings, throw open side, still keep that deuce in play. Matt seems to be signaling that this rock's going a little bit hot. Bit of an unforced error there for Jacob. But with where that rock is, positioned behind that center line guard, it still forces Scott to believe they signaled for a draw behind. And I think the tolerance on this shot would probably be to freeze on the top of that Yellowstone and force Team Dobson for their draw for two. But if Scott can get a good one behind there, it'll put the pressure back on Team Dobson to make a good one on their final stone.
Looks like a relatively clean end. That's trying to get the rock to curl to make contact, and it just doesn't look like it's going to. Team Mitchell keeping it simple, split the rings, make sure you get the force, and have a 1 point lead with hammer going into the 5th end. I think Team Mitchell's game plan was to keep it simple. They know I've played them this year, they know how to execute the good shots well. And unfortunately, that rock went through. Too keen. Too strong. I imagine that must have been his first draw of the game. Second round. Oh, Nathan has to do push-ups. It's a tough life he lives. So for Team Dobson, they get another chance at the hit and stick. Again, they're trying to make the rock curl. Which is surprising because we have been getting a lot of curl off of the center line, but those two rocks seem to run a little straighter. So another blank end on our feature sheet. So after a quick ice maintenance break, we're back to the game and a tight center for Team Mitchell, which I assume was meant to be top 4 foot by Colin.
And we have our first final of the day of the draw. We had Team Knee Page be victorious over Team Ingalls with a score of 10-1 in 4 ends.
Team Dobson looks like they got at least half buried. So for Colin, try to follow him down with a board waiter. We know this moves on this side of the sheet. Big sweep. And a great sweep by Nathan to get it by the rock. Good team shot. Team Dobson's looking to follow them down. I think Team Dobson realizes they have hammer. They're only down 2. It's a close game. We wouldn't mind a blank here. Try to score your deuce in 6. So make the hit, maybe hit and roll to the edge of the 12 foot. You'll see Team Mitchell play the hit back.
All right. So Team Mitchell seems to be in a decent position this end with the center guard and a nose hit in the back 4, and it looks like Jacob is asking Owen to make I believe it was a hit and flop.
Yeah, they've been trading hits last couple of stones. I think Team Dobson is going for that soft deuce strategy here in this end. They're okay with a blank because though they are down 2, they would rather score their 2 points in an even end than the 6th end. As the all-important 6th end, as we saw in our last game when Team Steel stole the point in 6, kind of gave them the momentum to win the game.
Very true. Matt's doing everything he can to hold it here.
Great sweep. Oh, I can't believe they peeked out the other side there.
I know.
Yeah. A
But
little
it's
unfortunate, but great shot by Owen.
and it forces Team Mitchell down a different path this end. I think most of this end was thrown on that right-hand side as we see it. So it'll be an important adjustment need to be made here by Nathan.
With that broom placement, I imagine they're throwing like a board weight here. I think Team Mitchell recognizes that it's straighter side of the sheet.
Yep.
Big sweep here by Landon.
Hard to hold the line.
To hold the line, it looks really close. Just gets by. Great sweep by Landon. Great throw by Nathan. It's a great shot.
Yeah, and Sam, this isn't the first time that we've seen the front end really help the team make an important shot like that one. So, a great sweep. And it looks like Jacob is asking Owen to make a freeze to that red one.
Yeah, I think Team Dobson recognizes that it's hard to follow them down. They realize Team Mitchell barely got by that center guard.
Yep.
Play the freeze, maybe tap it back to the back 4, back 8 foot, stay above the T line, and put the pressure back on Team Mitchell.
Yep.
That's what Elias's goal here is.
This is Owen.
Still.
Yeah, Owen second.
Big line hold here.
And as we've seen on that side of the ice, as the game progresses, we seem to get a little bit more swing and a really nice shot from Owen.
Yeah. Two good ones. Made the hit and roll and made a nice draw tap. And Team Mitchell calling the corner freeze. I like this call because it really shrinks down the scoring area, puts the pressure back on Team Dobson, because Team Mitchell is perfectly fine with a force, obviously.
Yeah, Sam, and I think this is a nice point in the time to throw a setup shot for Team Mitchell, get one frozen on the corner, force Team Dobson to a difficult shot. If it's not made properly, you'll probably see Team Mitchell use this setup shot.
Landon's draw coming up short. And a good setup shot for Dobson there. It does leave Team Mitchell slash, and that's exactly what Scott's going to call. But even if the slash is made, Team Dobson has a pretty a draw to backing if the flash is made. Really important shot here for Landon. We've seen heavyweight shots in this path
Run
float.
Here.
And so really important to throw this nice and clean.
I was even thinking maybe, Sam, tighten up the ice and let your sweepers who have made a lot of shots for you back it up a smidge.
Yeah, when you have Nathan and Colin sweeping your stones, I feel like You should almost never miss wide.
Yes.
And kind of moves it all.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite get the yellow one out of the rings, but
Hits too much of that first one. Needed it a little thinner.
yeah. But the way he made it, if he totally flashes it, it's dangerous to give up to 3 points.
Oh, for sure.
Where now, depending on execution, max you're probably giving up is 2.
Yeah.
Big sweep here to get it by the guard. Looks like it's by.
Have Matt
Just
on
going
it
for weight.
to try to finish it behind there and go for weight.
Looks like it finishes in the top 12 there. Yeah. One thing that you have to consider when you're sweeping for weight, in that situation, the rock was probably going to bury no matter what sweeper was on the inside. If it was dangerously not going to get to the rings, keep on the straight side. The rock will glide farther. But great shot, and Scott says, let's hit the open one. We're okay giving up 2.
No, Sam, I think Scott actually gestured
Oh,
for the
did he?
draw around the center.
Oh.
And I was going to ask you your thoughts on that. I mean,
I like it. If you got draw weight, you're confident. I mean, you're in the 5th end of the last round robin draw. Like, I imagine draw weight is in your back pocket. It's a big shot here for Scott. We do see this side curl with good weight, so they should stay close here. That's exactly what Colin's doing, is sweeping for line. Trying to keep it as straight as possible and get it by. It is by. Just great sweeping. Yeah. And a great team shot.
and a very confident call, Sam. I mean,
absolutely.
Scott had very little, if any, hesitation on, guys, I like the draw. Let's put the pressure on Team Dobson and force them to make a good one.
Yeah. Really shrinks the scoring area. It's unhittable. It's a good shot.
What do you think if you're Team Dobson, Sam? What's your play?
I think you have to draw it to the edge of the button on this side. It gets a little difficult. It gets a little difficult because we have seen the wider shots on the board side run straighter, even with good weight.
Yeah.
You could argue playing the double peel. The double peel does go towards those center stones,
Which could shake out in your favor, maybe.
yeah, and also makes your last stone a lot easier. If you play the draw here and it's not executed perfectly, like if it goes back 8 foot, like biting 4 foot, Scott makes the freeze or makes the draw to the edge of the button, and you really don't have a shot for one at all.
That's what I was thinking, Sam. If you're Team Dobson right now, you have a close game, down 2 points. I mean, of course they were looking for at least a multiple score here, but if you make that play on those front stones, open it up, give the skipper a shot at least at 1 point, if not more. So I think if I'm Team Dobson's coach, if I was the coach, I would be signaling, open up that center line, even if you just move the 2 guards. Open it up and give them a play into the middle to score.
It's definitely the safer call. I think as a team you have to decide how aggressive you want to be. You make that draw to the edge of the button. Scott doesn't make a nice shot. You'll have the draw on the opposite side for your deuce.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a team decision. I personally do like the draw. I'm gonna argue against your logic a little bit. I think, as we discussed with Scott's draw, this is the last round robin game. You're in the 5th end. You should absolutely have draw weight by now. I know it's the first event,
Yeah.
but we've been playing on this ice all weekend, and I think drawing the edge of the button, though I'm not saying it's an easy shot. It's much more makeable now than it was in the first couple of draws.
Yeah, and I mean, Sam, it wouldn't be the first time nor the last that we disagree with each other, but I mean, I think that's also part of the beauty of the sport, right?
There's no right answer.
It's about the shot that the team feels the most comfortable they can make.
Absolutely.
So. Sorry, commentators were just keeping our secrets off the air. Just talking about which shot and which shot could be thrown. And I mean, I think we kind of came to the conclusion either one is right if you can make it, right?
Yeah. I think, like we discussed, it comes down to, as a team, what shot are you committed to?
Yeah.
We're not sure who shot is. It looked really close with the overhead shot, but it doesn't change Scott's call. It's always going to be the draw to the top four / freeze. If they're shot rock, it's okay if you're light, because it really cuts off the draw path.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the conversation Team Mitchell is having at our end, saying, guys, you know what, we want to be there, but if we're light, we force him for a cold draw for 2 max, maybe 1, I don't know. It's too hard to tell, and I'm not feeling like a gambling man today.
I think it's yellow, but looking at the overhead camera, it looks yellow. It's really close. So if it is yellow, definitely want to make sure it's there, and sweepers are calling 7-8, so it's all online on now. Colin trying to make a curl, and as we've seen, once you get out there a little bit wider, it tends to stay quite straight. Looks like an opportunity for 2, but can't really be heavy. You can't touch that yellow one more than a centimeter.
Yeah, I think it's almost, you're playing it as a cold draw, right?
Yeah.
Sweep for tee, get in there for a solid point, and I think we'll see a measure for 2. I'm just getting flashbacks to the last, I think it was 2 or 3 draws ago. We were pretty confident. I think it was yellow, but it ended up being red.
We were wrong, yeah. So big draw here for Jacob for 1, possibly 2 points.
seem to move early on them.
If they're looking this much, they're, they're pretty confident.
If they're... yeah. I'm
assuming one yellow.
Yeah.
The way Team Mitchell's sweepers are staying at the hog line.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if I'm Team Mitchell, considering that we've had a couple of close measures on our sheet, I'm thinking a measure would never be a bad thing. But I mean, hey, if I'm Team Mitchell, I'm up a point, playing the 6th end with hammer, not a bad place to be.
Yeah, it's a good spot to be in. So important end, we saw this in the women's draw just the game before this, that scoring in the 6th is statistically speaking pretty important for the win.
Yep.
And momentum-wise.
Absolutely. So for all of our viewers listening in at home with interests on other sheets, we had a quick game on sheet 1 with Team Nepaj taking the win. On sheet 3, we have a tie game, 3-3, Goves and Massey. Team Goves having hammer in the 6th end. On sheet 5, we have Team Malima leading Team Hocevar 4-2. Team Hocevar having hammer in the 6th. And on sheet 6, we have Team Bryant leading Team Prenovo 4-1. Team Prenovo having hammer playing 6.
So a well set up end for both teams. Team Dobson having that center guard and sitting 2 as of right now. Pretty short run here for Nathan to try to make all 3 yellows disappear. If it's wide, you might want to try and cross the face, which they did. Gets rid of 1 yellow technically, but yellow is only sitting 1 now. There's no center guards.
Yeah.
And you do have technically a double corner on the one side. So
yeah, it wasn't a terrible result, but I think just a little bit on release there, a little setback. But I mean, it's early season, and I'm sure that they will do their best to make the correction.
Yeah, we've seen that almost every single game we broadcasted. That if you don't have a clean release, the rocks tend to glide / drift backwards.
Drift.
So.
Fast and Furious drift.
Yes.
So
to my TED Talk. Big draw here to make that red one that's in the back 12 foot not count. In the simple terms. You're going to want to keep this straight because we've seen these rocks
just
fly. This one is not an exception.
Yeah. Matt did everything he could to hold the line there, but like we've said, once it gets over that center line, it goes.
Yeah, and a mixture of a little bit of light too. And Scott realizing he doesn't need to make the hit right now. Beat them to the draw to the middle of the 8 foot, so then they can't make the freeze.
Yep.
Good shot there. Stays above the tee line, makes the freeze difficult. I imagine they would like the red rock maybe a foot higher, so the freeze would be a little more difficult. But big shot here for Dobson, making this freeze perfectly, really cuts down the scoring area and makes you sit 1-2.
Yeah, I think the spectators would have also liked this one to be a little bit more clearly red, but I think it did stop in time for red to be sitting shot. No?
I disagree.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, something like that.
That's a
the
word.
The freeze is more important.
The shot. Yeah.
Is the shot, and it looks like this is diving off the center line.
Yeah.
Really important for them to bounce off. They had the correct weight. If they could roll over, that might be like a get out of jail free card later on in the
something that they can use later.
Yeah. I think Scott has 2 choices. He could hit and sit 3. He could also hit that Yellowstone that just rolled to the top 12. With a delicate weight, you could hit and roll behind your corner guards and sit 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Would be a little bit more aggressive, especially being up 1. So there's nothing wrong with hitting and sitting 3.
Yeah, and I mean,
just that if you're looking at a dangerous stone, that yellow one on the tee line is probably the most dangerous stone for Team Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't mind this call, Sam. If it's close or they think maybe Dobson is shot stone, it's never a bad call to hit shot stone.
I agree. Like we said when we commentated some of the other draws, is that if you're nitpicking already this early in the season, it's always a good sign.
Exactly.
Dobson hitting and rolling behind their center. I think they want to roll all the way to the other red stone in the corner, and that would be a really great shot. I think there's just enough space between the yellow and the red stone to roll that far. Big shot here for Jacob. Good shot there by Jacob, and a great sweep to get it by that yellow center guard. Though red is still sitting shot rock, you take out that red in the top 12, that won't be a rock that will score this end anymore.
Yeah.
And also shrinks Team Mitchell's score area. And for Team Mitchell, discussing where should they put this stone. There's obviously many options. I think the only option you don't want to do is draw around the center guard.
Yeah.
Though you could get a miss if Team Dobson makes a perfect nose run back, all of a sudden there's a steal opportunity, and that's what you don't want to give up. So you have to discuss whether you go back 8 foot on the left side of your screen. I think they've decided on hitting.
Yeah, I think they're going to peel that danger rock, which I mean, I don't mind. I think another shot as well could have been drawing to that open side, full back 8 foot, and you probably would have seen Team Dobson make a move on that open stone. But I don't mind the peel either. I mean, it definitely gives Team Mitchell an opportunity to score 1, if not 2 points this end.
It is the only danger rock on the sheet, as I discussed 2 shots ago. This is when I thought Landon would make the hit and roll.
Yeah.
And then this wouldn't be an issue on Scott's rocks. Mm-hmm. But making this peel, Team Dobson has to kind of put their stone in a perfect position. And unfortunately, we saw that in the women's game. And we've seen it all weekend. A little bit bigger weight, 0 curl whatsoever. Especially on that board side. So we talk about that make after miss shot a lot, every single draw. But it's important. It's one of the most important stats in curling. And big shot here for Jacob. You draw even back 4 foot fully buried. It doesn't need to be above the tee. I think the most important part of this shot is the line and obviously staying shot rock. If you can put this back full 4 foot, you get the force, right, at least.
Yes.
Obviously in a perfect world, fully buried top button.
Yeah.
The also bonus of having it back 4 is that you won't see Scott play the run back. You'll probably see him play the draw. Where if you're top button, top 4 foot, you'll probably see a run back for 1.
not a bad outcome for Team Dobson. I mean, I think they obviously would have liked top 4 behind the guard, but it forces a little bit more precision out of Team Mitchell, maybe changing what they thought would have been their draw to the button path. So, but a big shot here for Scott, trying to get between those 2 yellow stones and draw in there full 8 foot for 2.
Unfortunately, I think the mixture of getting into that fresh pebble and not throwing a draw in the last couple of, he threw one last end, but different paths. And we know that this sheet is, and I'm assuming all the other sheets are quite pathy.
Yeah. So 1 point for Team Mitchell in the 6th end. Puts them ahead 4-2 over Team Dobson.
Though you did want that extra point, you still have a comfortable 2-point lead. You get your force here, it's acceptable to give up 2, and you're tied with hammer coming home. And I believe Scott called for the guard. It's another interesting call. I think when you're up 2, you should be comfortable being up 2 in the last end too.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on the team. It depends what your playbook says. Maybe some leads are more comfortable making their top 4-foot draw with a guard in play.
Yeah.
Gives them that visual of where they want to go.
Yeah.
But if I was giving my opinion, I'd rather go top 4.
Yeah, I think this might be the first time we agree, Sam. Ever. Yeah, I think I like a top 4 draw there, but maybe Team Mitchell is feeling that they had decent control of the previous end and they're looking for a steal.
Team Dobson, I think, deciding that they're okay if they end up blanking this, that they'll have hammer in the last end, so they're playing the draw around the center guard, trying to beat them into the good spot here. Big sweep.
Yeah, if I'm Team Dobson, I like this call. I mean, Team Mitchell threw the guard for a reason. You know their next one's probably going there. So if you get in there before them, it forces them to either deal with that stone or be a little bit more precise on their next shot.
I don't mind the run back here.
Yeah.
If I'm Team Mitchell.
I think the scoreboard is kind of influencing that behind the glass call that we have.
And timeout.
Timeout by Team Mitchell. And it looks like the call here, I believe it was either the run back or the peel. Either way, I think that stone that was called there by Team Mitchell is the one that's causing you the most grief.
Yeah, last time we talked about your problem rock, your problem stone, and that absolutely was it. I'm a little surprised Team Dobson doesn't call the guard here.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, I know you have hammer, and you should never really throw a center guard when you have hammer. And you can set up your deuce, but this early on in the game, early on in the end, it's hard to keep that simple deuce without Team Mitchell making the hit and roll or a double.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing too, Sam, is Team Dobson could throw a corner here, right? And I mean, I know they have one in scoring position, but throw the corner. Team Mitchell can't remove it. Probably they'll make a play on that middle, and then you have a chance to use your corner.
Yeah, and then the play will be around the corner guard the rest of the end. I agree with you.
Oh my God. 2 in a row.
Well, you agreed with me last time, right? So
now we're even.
I don't like it. It just slides through the rings. Yeah, just through. See a little bit of white.
Yeah.
So both teams, I think, are okay with a blank.
Yeah.
If I'm Team Mitchell, I'm pretty comfortable being up 2.
Yes.
Without hammer, at worst possible situation, you give up 2 in the 8th end. And you have hammer in the extra. And for Team Dobson, you feel okay having hammer being down 2 in last.
Yeah.
We've seen, with the 5-rock roll, we've seen shots for multiples a lot more now than the 4-rock roll, obviously. And
yes.
so they're okay with being down 2 with going into the 8th. So, similar to the first couple of ends, we have some open hits.
Yeah. And not to be too nitpicky, but if I'm Team Dobson on that second stone thrown by Matt, pardon me, I think the tolerance needs to be communicated and kind of committed to. Knowing that being light there, throwing a corner guard, even if it's not in the rings, that's the way to miss that one. But either way, Team Dobson looking to probably blank this end now and take hammer into the 8th. And a nice takeout there by Owen. So it seems like Team Dobson, it seems like Jacob is asking Owen for a draw, maybe trying to get behind, either frozen to that back yellow stone or behind that red in the corner. I mean, I think it might be a little bit too late to make this kind of call. I think maybe the end plan should have dictated the first 4 stones this end, and it seems like maybe it flip-flopped back and forth a time or two. And I mean, it's early season, obviously still time to learn and readjust, but I think if I'm Team Dobson and I'm rewatching this, I think it's important to discuss, okay, what were we thinking then, and what was the end goal?
Yeah, I agree when you said flip-flop. I feel like after the first 4 or 5 stones, they realized it's probably going to be a blank, so why switch the calls?
Yeah.
And again, first event, obviously a learning
Yeah.
moment. As a team, you have to discuss what you're comfortable with going into the 8th end. Some teams are more comfortable with stealing. Like sometimes taking one and trying to steal the win is, especially like if you don't have a great hammer efficiency.
Yeah, and you have and you're more comfortable stealing. I mean, I know my team, when I was out there, Sam's giving me the grin because he's like, yeah, you're old. But when we were out there curling, we always liked to be ahead or tied without hammer, because we felt that our steel proficiency was a lot higher than our hammer efficiency.
Yeah, and with like every coach, almost every single coach has an app and has an iPad behind the glass, right? So
yeah.
You get this. You get to see those stats. Right? You get to see how throughout the year, after 2-3 events, you get to see how your hammer efficiency is. What do we need to switch up? What do we need? Like how our steel efficiency is. What are we doing wrong? What are we doing good? And that's what's really nice about having the iPads and about having all those stats.
Yeah.
Is it really helps you improve in the game of curling and in all sports, but we'll just stick to curling.
And I think there is a nice hit and roll there by Elias to try to group those red stones together. I think Scott's asking to try to hit and roll away, create some separation between those two stones. But it's good to see that he's keeping in mind that yellow rock in not in the rings, but behind the tee line to worry about any jams that could happen.
Yeah, for landing in this shot, yes, you do want to keep the force on, but keep it simple. Make sure that Yellowstone leaves the rings.
And that you stick around if you can.
Yeah. But make sure you finish mission 1.
Yes.
Which Colin is trying to make a curl.
Bit of an unforced error there. I mean, the teams have been very friendly to one another this end, with a couple strategy decisions and a couple unforced errors. So
it's definitely obviously wasn't the shot he wanted to make, but just another learning moment. I feel like tightening the ice up. Like I like the way they chose.
Yeah.
But for both of them, make sure the rock kind of just leaves the rings. Tighten the ice up. Yeah. Over curling there, you were still going to hit and roll out, but you were never going to jam, right?
Yes. And use that amazing front end that Team Mitchell has,
absolutely.
Right? To hold the rock
stones.
if it's over
we talked
curling.
about that earlier. We see that there's obviously a lot of great front ends on the ice this weekend, and you see good sweeping really affects the stones, and if you have those good sweepers, throw to them. Don't let them walk beside the stone. Don't know if the double is there, but he has 3/4 of the stone. I think then this is a good call. I think you kind of have to just, when you're being up to, I think you just kind of take your medicine here, give them their 2 points, and be tied with hammer going to the last end.
Yeah, and that's where scoring in that 6th end really did help Team Mitchell kind of establish a little bit more control over this game. But we still have a couple more shots to come. there a
So
triple there, Sam?
very close. When you're looking at triples like this, to keep it simple, if the overhead view would show all 3 stones, which it doesn't, you're looking for a right angle triangle.
Yes.
Because that's where the rocks, if you hit it in the perfect position, that's where the rock is going to go. And it looks awfully close. For Team Mitchell, obviously the goal is to make at least 2 disappear.
Yes.
Not easy, but definitely makeable, and it's going to be really close to the triple. Team Dobson, I would have liked them to obviously, like, they did sweep that stone harder, as hard as they can, but I feel like if you left it maybe a little higher, or if you could have gotten a little deeper, the triple's not there, right?
A lot more just like maybe seeing Team Dobson gesturing, not here, guys. Make sure the rock doesn't stop.
And when you're playing good teams, you realize how important placement is, and this is really close. And I guess the right angle triangle wasn't there because I think he hit it
pretty close
in a really good spot, in my opinion. You could have hit a little thinner and still made the double, but I don't think the triple was there. But a really good shot after a miss. After you miss your 7 stone as a skip, sometimes you could say your confidence kind of goes down a bit and lay down in a game. You can't have that happen. So that's momentum-wise, that's a really good double to make.
Yeah. And I mean, Sam, after how back and forth this end has been, both strategically and execution-wise, I think Team Dobson would be very pleased to have a shot to put 2 on the board.
Well, yeah, we discussed about throwing corner guards, and they basically said, Sam and Ryan, you're wrong.
We don't need you.
We don't need guards. We are going to get our deuce the easy way.
Easy? Sure, we'll say easy. Yeah.
And good draw weight. Jacob, on shots like that, we've discussed it 100 times. Even though it's basically to paint, you want to make sure it's close to the button, give that skipper some confidence, considering you do have to steal one for the win in the 8th end.
Yeah.
And for Team Mitchell, you're probably going to see a tick here by Colin. After Matt makes his guard.
Are you saying that out of experience against playing them, Sam?
No, but I know they've played in the U25 event. They played in a men's spiel. Strategy, technically, when you move up into men's tied,
you see the tick.
Up 1, you see the tick almost every single time.
I see.
And I feel like they've learned from those experiences. My team would be throwing the tick. So I imagine that's what they're going to do. Nathan putting everything in his effort. They called the draw, but ended up making the tick. So, somewhat.
Yeah.
Didn't push it off. They pushed it off the center line. They get to peel their own rock if needed / run back.
Yeah.
You really come the 8th end when you're tied with him, or you would like to have the skip to have 2 options on his last rock.
Yeah.
For his point, whether it's a draw or a hit. You don't want to have him to have to throw a run back or a double or something like that.
So I think Jacob asked Matt to put this one top 4 foot. I don't mind the call. The other thing that Team Dobson needs to take advantage of is that free guard zone, right? 5-rock rule, have a chance to put 2 guards up, 3 guards up before Team Mitchell can start peeling.
Yeah, I agree with you. When it looks like this, Rock, they left it alone there for a little bit because the weight was really good. Looks like it overcurled on them a little bit. Good tolerance. Any rocks in play are good rocks for Team Dobson when it comes to trying to steal.
And I think it rolled to an interesting spot, Sam, because it makes the peel of that red stone not straightforward. So I think Scott asking Colin to draw top 4 foot behind that yellow stone.
Yeah, try to get the winner in there early like we discussed on Colin's first rock. Sweepers are calling heavy. And we know this path is quite quick.
Yeah.
Even throughout the whole game. Looks like it grabbed some curl. Finish. It does tighten that scoring area up. Gives Team Dobson a rock to freeze on though, which is unfortunate. And even now, you could argue still throwing that 1 guard. Because you know as soon as this rock finishes, Scott's running up to make the double peel.
Yeah.
So throwing the 1 guard kind of gives you more rocks in play. You don't need to be shot rock right now. You still have 5 rocks to throw after this one. You really don't need to be shot stone right now. So just another learning moment. Obviously, it's a team decision. And calling heavy, and I don't think it's going to curl enough. So though it does block their draw path, yellow is controlling the control zone. They have 2 stones that are easily tappable, easily runnable. They have an in-off on that other yellow.
Yeah, I think I'm eagerly trying to clear the front here.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's much to discuss, I think you want to peel. I think it's tempting to draw the top 4 foot and sit in a good position, but just like we told Team Dobson, they don't need to be shot rock right now. It's the same thing with Team Mitchell. I think you want to get rid of granite as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So they have to decide which double peel is easier, I imagine, is what they're discussing. I don't think they'll ever play the draw. So just which double peel you want to make for Nathan. And that's what they decided, which is good. I think the red-yellow is the easier double peel.
Yeah.
If you throw the other one, you're kind of spinning up back into the red one, which could just leave 2 center guards again. So
True.
This is definitely the call. Looks like a thick half.
Maybe even a third.
Gets rid of the shooter and both center guards there. Yeah. And that's a great shot.
Nice shot.
It just goes back for Team Dobson how important those center guards are, how maybe last shot they should have thrown that high guard one.
Yeah.
We've seen it because we played Nathan a decent amount, that he knows how to throw the high hard one.
And he's good at making
he's very accurate at making those peels and double peels. You're not going to get a lot of misses out of him. And I like this call. They're throwing the guard.
Yeah.
So it's like almost instantly learning. Mid-game realizing, yeah, we don't need to be shot yet. Let's throw the high guard and try not to make an easy double peel.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that I always find very interesting about these eighth ends is after the game, whatever the result may be, the coaches of both teams are probably going to sit down with each team and say, guys, what were we thinking in the 8th end? What was the thought process? What was our end
Oh,
goal?
looks like they decided on the draw. I think I was completely wrong.
Maybe
the way Jacob was standing, it looked like he wanted the draw the whole time.
Wouldn't be the first time that they don't listen to us, and that's fine.
Don't have their earpieces in today. Been a long weekend. And another double peel for Nathan here.
This is a big shot for Team Mitchell. This is where the front end can really do the damage and really help the back end close out this game.
And I played second for 4 to 5 years before I moved to skip, and this was during the 4-rock rule, and that's all you practiced was peels, right? You think of it when skips are like a draw to win the Briar. When you're a second, you're like double peel to make it easy for the rest of my team to win the Briar.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a shot you definitely practice a lot. With the 5-rock rule, seconds have turned a little bit into vices where you have to have that high hard one to clear the house, but you also have to be able to throw those hack waiters now more than when the 4-rock rule was apparent or happening.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the importance of every player out there.
Yeah.
Before, and I mean, speaking historically, I don't know, 50 years ago, I feel like having a really solid back end was what won you a lot of games. But as time has progressed, the emphasis on the front end has increased time after time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that as discussed, as you said long ago, you could hide a player that isn't as good as the rest of the team, but now all 4 players need to be good.
Yeah.
If you look at on the women's side, you look at Team Einerson, who all 4 of them were skips at one point, and now they've learned their position so well that they're back-to-back Canadian champions.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a team like that you want to look up to. Same with if you look at a Brad Gushu, Brent Gallant, who's been his second forever. He skipped his whole junior career. It's just super important to have 4 good quality players on each team. So a good peel by Landon, trying to keep the front of the rings as clean as possible. Big sweep to get this over the hog line. Good sweep. Good judge. Game plan doesn't change for Scott. Big sweep here. Nathan's going to want the rock to, or Colin's going to not want the rock to cross the center line, and it doesn't. And that's exactly what we talked about last end on Landon's miss. He didn't give it to his sweeper. Where it looked like he instantly learned his lesson. He might have slid a little tight there, but he knows that Colin is a great sweeper, and he kept it off that center line to make the peel.
Yeah.
Like we said, Team Dobson learning right away. It seemed like for Landon and Team Mitchell, that was a learning moment as well.
And it looks like we have a couple more finals. On sheet 6, we saw Team Bryant be victorious over Team Prenovo. with a final score of 5-1. And on sheet 3, Team Goves were victorious over Team Massey with a final score of 5-3.
Interesting position here for Team Mitchell. They know they need to hit, but do they need to make the double? Because the double keeps your red one, unless it spins, which I'm not quite sure what the angles are, it keeps your red one as a center guard, which helps Team Dobson.
Yeah.
But there's not many options. You could just peel the yellow stone that's on the center line, because that is the most dangerous stone out of the two.
Very true.
But I think double is the only option, so I like that.
I think Team Mitchell has it in their mind. Clear the center, leave Scott an open look on his last shot.
Yeah.
Didn't roll to the best spot for Team Mitchell because
A little unlucky, yeah.
Yeah, if
I
Team
agree.
Dobson can get behind that top 12-foot redstone and be shot, they'll be guarded both from the front and the back, which will force Team Mitchell into a tough last one. But this one still needs to be made.
Yeah, a little unfortunate. He obviously, if he hit that in the right spot, it probably would have spun a few more feet and have been out of the way.
Yeah.
So, opportunity for Jacob to put the pressure on, put this. A perfect spot would be half buried on the button almost.
Yeah.
You could argue being right to the back one, but that just gives backing for Team Mitchell. So, big shot.
Last shot for Team Dobson.
Sweeper's calling 7 out of his hand, which is T-line weight, but they got to go for line, it looks like. Weight is really close, just unfortunately rubs off the guard. And it'll be a 5-4 win for Team Mitchell, with Scott not having to throw his last stone. And we last two games been treated to two really close games and a lot of good shot making. For Team Mitchell, that depending on their shootout might put them in the B event, if not the C event, with the 3-2 record.
I think.
And Team Dobson is finishing out 1-4.
Yeah, and I think Team Mitchell's, which final Team Mitchell will be in, depends on our last game on the ice right now. Team Malima against Team Hocevar. Team Malima leading Team Hocevar 5-3, but Team Hocevar having that all-important last stone advantage in the 8th end.
Yeah, that's all we have for you guys. The women's draw supposed to start at 3. There will be a scrape and obviously pebble and nip, so probably going to be 3:15ish. So we look forward to seeing you guys then.
Thanks for sticking with us, and we will see you later today.